Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be reacting to some videos, and you can't do comments because I'm so sorry, but like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and let's do some reacting today. Alright, let's see. What should we react to? React videos. React videos. We need to react to something, so. Yo, hey, yo. Little sussy there. I want to do this. No. We're going to be reacting to. Hold on. Be amazed. You guys, we're going to be reacting to Be Amazed. You guys are going to love this. Like, this guy. Like, wow. I mean, watch. Touch once equals death. That's just creepy. Isn't that just creepy? Oh my. Okay, let's do this one. Where's this?
We now
Too loud.
sell our wheel covers all around the world.
Skip ads.
There's something about seeing items well worn or used over the years that's intensely satisfying. So much so that this is now the 5th installment of a series just about that. From trees consuming everything in their path to the hilariously horrifying effects it's had on some of your childhood nostalgia, it's time to dive back into even more amazing effects of the power of time.
So guys, you can just don't forget to like and subscribe.
I'm not a golf guy, but there are plenty of people out there who are happy to hit those little white balls thousands of times over.
I do play golf.
That's never been more evident than looking at this absolutely battered ball.
Oh my god.
It's been so worn down that the dimples on its surface are almost non-existent.
How is it still be able to
These
hit?
dimples significantly cut down drag when the ball flies through the air, allowing it to travel further. So, while it might have been used thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of times, you could say this ball has become a drag. Hook and eye latches can be used for just about everything, from keeping doors closed to gates open. But the range of movement the hook can achieve can leave its mark in an unusually satisfying way, like this. Years of the heavy hook being moved around has worn a perfect circle into the brick wall it's mounted on. Maybe I should have saved this image for one of my oddly satisfying videos instead. Considering we spend 6 to 8 hours a night sleeping on the same pillow, sometimes for years or even decades, most of us probably don't clean them as often as we should. I know I don't, but even I'm not as guilty as the owner of this horrific scene. The pillow above was apparently in the room of someone who smoked, slept, and played video games in bed for years.
Oh
The
my.
sweat and smoke has gradually blackened the pillow over time. So much
sweat
so
and
that it's a
steam from,
completely
like,
different color to the
consoles.
new one they bought.
Compared to the new one.
That is
Wow.
nasty. Ugh. Well, there's something sad about gravestones that are hundreds of years old. Most from bygone eras are made from limestone, sandstone, or a similar soft rock, and with no one to tend them, they gradually erode over time. So when Reddit user, quietly smirking, started hunting for long-dead relatives' grave in 2022, they were delighted to learn from findagrave.com that the headstone was still in pretty good shape. A photo taken in 2006 had been uploaded to the site. However, when they got there, the stone now looked like this. The engravings had all been worn away. They couldn't make out the name. The only indicator it was the same stone at all was the small circular indent at the top. Considering it's been there since 1879, that's been worn down a lot in the last 16 years. What could have caused it? Well, there might have been an increase in the acidity of the rain in this region. Pollution released into the air that mixes with condensation makes rain in some parts of the world more acidic. And when it falls, it rapidly erodes structures that have remained relatively untouched for hundreds of years. It's either that or it's just the wrong gravestone. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, my grandma loves a game of Yahtzee. It's a dice game where players
I've
roll
never heard of
5
Yahtzee.
dice to make up specific combinations, and can be kind of addictive, as Reddit user Xiao knows all too well. Your mother-in-law plays a lot of Yahtzee, and has rolled her favorite set of dice so many times over the years, they're a different shape and color compared to a new set. They're so worn, they look more like they're made of marzipan than plastic. I wonder if they still roll fair. Either way, it's fair to say this mother-in-law's major vice is rolling dice. Now, I know there are so many fancy household cleaning devices out there like Roombas and Robo-Mops, but I'm a simple guy who loves a good old-fashioned broom. And I'm not the only one, as this picture shows. That's 3 brooms in 3 very different stages. Where the one at the back looks like it's never been put to work, the one at the front looks like it's never stopped sweeping. Apparently, these 3 were used in a machine shop, which explained the thick, oily buildup on the front one. Man, this must be the cleanest machine shop in the world. Though it's probably not as clean as this person's house, if their duster is anything to go by. Likely used by a professional cleaner.
Holy
This thing's
crap,
cleaned away
guys,
so
look at
many
that.
cobwebs. Its
Yeah, that
bristles
must have
have been
cleaned a lot of
worn down
cobwebs.
to a nub compared to a brand new one. Ironically, my own duster is practically new, but covered in cobwebs. Some of us really hate cleaning, okay? Whenever I see those candy dispensers in like a superstore or a pharmacy, I'm always tempted to get a handful. But after looking at this picture from a local pharmacy in America, I think I might avoid them forever. According to the Reddit poster Owen the Techie, these Skittles have been sat in this dispenser for years.
Skittles are from my
The sun
favorite
has partially
candies.
melted the candies, crystallizing the sugar while bleaching and fading the colors of the once bright shells.
Oh my.
I bet they've all fused into one massive candy by now. So, why haven't the owners emptied them out? Well, apparently, vendors are hired to come and refill the machines. The pharmacy owners themselves don't have keys. Maybe the vendor only comes when the dispenser is empty, in which case I wonder how much it'd cost to own this single supermassive Skittle steak. My jaw hurts just thinking about it. Trees are the ultimate tellers of time. They can thrive for hundreds of years, slowly growing bigger and taller every day. But when something gets in their way, they don't stop. Instead, they start to grow around obstacles, sometimes consuming them in a bid to keep growing. So while it looks like this tree has had holes drilled into it to weave this fence through it, this is actually an all-natural process called edaphoecotropism. And it doesn't stop at fences. These trees can take years to grow around just about anything, like this fire hydrant.
I've been getting paid
come on.
$1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone. I don't know if you can see that.
Looks like this tree figured it was the perfect place to get a lot of water. You could say the hydrant was caught in a thirst trap. But sometimes, small items can be completely absorbed by a tree, like this nail. Thanks to the rings of the tree, each of which indicates 1 year of growth, we can tell someone hammered a nail into it some 25 odd years ago. But it only took 2 or 3 years for the tree to overgrow the nail in the first place. Looks like that's tree 1, nail 0. In my opinion, the best thing you can put on pancakes is maple syrup. But imagine reaching for the golden goo only to have diamonds fall out of the bottle instead, like Reddit user Cutely Aware did when they took their bottle out of the refrigerator. Okay, they're not real diamonds, they're rock candy crystals. These large crystals form in the maple syrup mix of water, sugar, and minerals when the liquid is super sugary or super saturated. When this supersaturated syrup is cooled slowly and stored for a long time without any agitation, these giant crystals can start to form. Depending on the syrup and just how long it's left for, these crystals can sometimes coat the entire container. Man, those crystals are so big, I think Walter White's calling.
This is not myth.
Over in Russia, in the region of Kamchatka, there was one small fishing village known as Kirovsky. While it's now abandoned, it still exists, though parts of it were built a little too close to the shoreline and have been slowly demolished over the years by the relentless force of waves and wind. Taken back in 2009, this photo shows the front of a shoreline apartment building looking intact, but a peek around the back reveals it's been hollowed out, leaving little more than a cement facade. But these were taken back in 2009. What does it look like now, more than 10 years on? Well, a quick hunt on Google Maps reveals a building that looks like it could be our abandoned apartment, and it's still standing. I've tried to find more recent pictures of it, but haven't been able to track down anything. Do you know anyone who might have some? If you do, send me a message at stories@beamazed.com, and maybe we'll be able to see what it looks like more than a decade on. When they're young, most identical twins are hard to tell apart, especially when their parents dress them the same like this. Aww, so adorable. However, as they get older, different elements of their environment mean they can age in different ways. These two 61-year-old identical twins have experienced a significant difference in sun exposure over the years, with the one on the right being exposed to about 10 more hours of sunlight per week than her sister on the left. The sun, specifically the ultraviolet radiation it contains, can penetrate the skin and break down connective tissues such as collagen and elastin, resulting in deeper wrinkles and dark spots. This has left the right twin looking older than her sister, even though they're identical. Be right back. I'm just off to slather myself in sunscreen. Now, blackout curtains, the type that block out all light, can be expensive. To save money, some people simply resort to propping up a thick blanket over their windows. And you can tell that this blanket really did its job, because on the one side it's black, and on the other side it's been sun-bleached so badly it's almost completely white. This blanket had been hanging up for 8 years, and during that time the blanket absorbed the light and the radiant energy slowly broke down any colored molecules it could reach in a process called photodegradation. The parts where the sunlight was obscured, like by the crossbeam, which was quite obviously here, have remained black for the most part. Well, as long as it was keeping out the sunlight. To quote Michael Jackson, "Don't matter if you're black or white." Aside from having the catchiest theme tune in history, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were a 1984 comic book creation that spawned into a massive media franchise that's still popular to this day. They've had cartoons, live-action TV shows, video games, films, you name it. But my personal favorite was 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, a live-action martial arts film done by people dressed up in comic-style turtle costumes. Sadly, it hasn't aged well. Literally. Do you remember the full animatronic bodysuit of the blue bandanaed Leonardo? Well, in 2019, the original suit was pulled out of storage, having sat rotting there for almost 20 years. And oh my god. That's destroyed part of my childhood for sure. The costume is a mix of foam latex, leather knee and elbow pads, along with resin teeth and eyes. So while the hard resin remained unchanged, the latex dried out and crumbled, leaving the suit in a state of almost irreparable decay. However, it still went up for auction back in 2019 for $15,000. It's okay, Leonardo. You're still my favorite, I think. But Leonardo's not the only animatronic who's suffered at the hands of time. Star Wars' little green riddle master Yoda, who first appeared in the 1980 film The Empire Strikes Back, was an animatronic creation puppeted by the legendary Frank Oz. While the original design is a pop culture icon, one of the little green latex masks has certainly seen better days. Like Leonardo, the latex has dried out, shrunk, wrinkled, and crumbled over the last 40 years. Though if you thought the eyeless mask was creepy, wait till you see what the animatronic underneath looked like.
No, not which is worse, I do.
While most things wear down over time, some things build up, especially if you're looking in places like gutters, as TikTok user Spencer Clays has.
Hey guys, my rich stepmom is losing 13 pounds per week using this new ice hack. It's so unfair. My stepmom found out about it from a video and she lost 50 pounds in 20 seconds.
You don't care about ads, right?
Okay, when I first saw this, I thought that he was pulling up a full brick of dirt, grime, and buildup. But actually, that's a big old sponge. Some gutters are filled with this material to keep organic elements like moss and leaf buildup from blocking the pipe, while the water drains through the sponge without it getting blocked. A pretty genius solution, and weirdly satisfying to watch it all be cleaned out. Oh god, a word just slipped my mind. What are all those tiny hammers called? You know, the ones that judges used to bang on their desks when they go, "Order in the court, go straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Oh god, I know this. Gavel. Yeah, that's it. That's what this is, a gavel. That explains why, compared to a brand new one, the end of this gavel has been slammed down so much, it's flattened out to the side. I wonder how many people this judge sent down. But wait, gavels aren't usually made of copper, are they? Unless this judge really wanted to make an impact. Nope. Despite what it looks like, this is actually a copper pipe used for smoking. Tobacco is placed in the cup end, lit, and once it's burned down, the ash is tapped out so it can be refilled. More than 5 years and thousands of taps from Reddit user Academic Associate 91 has left the end of his old copper pipe completely flattened out compared to his brand new one. While smoking is super bad for you, imagine tapping that thing out is super satisfying. Mooring rings are often found on bays or docks and are used as anchor points to tie boats into place and stop them escaping over the waves. Now, these things are thick, heavy, and planted deep into the ground because they have a lot of force to contend with. But this also means that over the years, they can begin to wear away the very surface they're built into, like this one has. But it's not only worn a circular groove into the stonework of the dock, it's also worn down the iron pin keeping it in place. Man, given a few more years, this thing will wear its way down into the depths of hell. If you were alive in the late 1990s, you probably remember the golden era of Nokia phones. Unlike modern smartphones, these babies had battery lives that lasted for weeks. They had the greatest game ever made, Snake, preloaded onto them, and they were practically tougher than diamonds. Case in point, someone found this old Nokia laid into the road. But even after being dumped into asphalt and run over by cars for the last 20 years, it's still somewhat intact. I bet it still has like 80% charge too. Okay, on closer inspection, it looks like this may have just been a phone case cover, but still, that screen is in one piece. No chance of a pothole ever developing there then. Now, I've covered Giuseppe Pannoni, the famous Italian artist and sculptor, before, but like any good artist, more meaning can be discovered through his art with time. So, in part 2 of this series, we looked at his piece called "It Will Continue to Grow Except at That Point," which was a series of bronze casts of his own hand that he clamped onto still growing saplings, starting back in 1968. As the trees continued to grow, the hands constrained them, wearing long finger marks into the trunks where the hands had once held a firm grasp. However, since then, the trees have continued to grow, with some actually enveloping the hands that once stemmed them. Another classic case of edipho-ecotropism there. I guess the title of this piece might need changing. However, his piece, Before Cazione, is the exact opposite. Created in 1987, Benone presented a tree branch that had the shape of a human hand pressed into it, almost like he'd spent years grooving his hand into the wood to wear away a perfect impression of his palm. It looks beautiful, but in actuality, this is a remarkably realistic bronze tree he sculpted himself, with the hand already worn in. Well, at least unlike the bronze hand on the trees, this piece will definitely stand the test of time. Now, my father swears he's owned the same shovel for 50 years. But if he were doing half as much work with it as this next guy, I don't think it would have lasted 50 minutes. On the left here is a brand new shovel, and on the right is one that helped plant 90,000 trees. Over the course of one season, which is about 4 months, Reddit user AgrajagDamadbat claims that digging holes for some 90,000 saplings like pine, Douglas fir, and spruce has worn the shovel down by several inches. Man, that sounds like a whole lot of work. We all have our favorite place to sit at the movies. Some prefer the front, others the back. But in this theater, it's obvious there's one seat that everybody wants. While the Reddit poster who uploaded this image didn't give any indication of how big the place was, he did mention it was in the center, 3 rows from the back. Perhaps this is the seat where all the big audiophiles sit, because apparently audio engineers generally balance the sound in movies to hit hardest around the back of the theater. Well, I know where I'll be sitting from now on. And do you know that Pepsi isn't always brown? Yep, it turns out there's a limited edition Pepsi Gold that's been around for some 60 years. At least, I hope there is. Otherwise, this unopened bottle from the 1950s looks a little sus. Okay, well, it's not Pepsi Gold. It is still Pepsi. Although this isn't Coke that's been left in the sun for a month, but it's got that same yellow hue. No, I know what you're thinking. Someone's going around peeing in old bottles and resealing the caps. But actually, these are cola. This is that previously mentioned photodegradation at work. Left in the sunlight, UVA radiation effectively bleaches the liquid, gradually turning it yellow. Well, not always. Sometimes it is pee. So if you see a yellow liquid sitting in a cola bottle, don't risk it. Trust me. I love my dog, but I feel bad every time I buy poop bags. It feels like so much plastic waste. However, some poop bags are completely biodegradable, as Reddit user Terrence Bogards proved. They found an old roll of poop bags, some 1.5 years old, which had slowly disintegrated while on the roll. This was just because the bags had been kept dry. If they'd been wet, they'd have dissolved instead. Well, however they break down over time, I'd inevitably forget them and end up having to scoop up my pup's poop with whatever I had in my pockets. When you go down to the beach, you expect sun, sea, and sand. But sometimes you can find strange things on the shore.
Like
Messages
that.
in bottles, washed up pirate treasure,
Ooh.
a big rock made of bricks.
What?
Wait, what was that last one? Yeah, that's part of a red brick wall that's been gradually smoothed by years of erosion from waves lapping the shore. But how did it get there in the first place? Well, it's surrounded by huge slabs of concrete mixed with rocks. It's likely these are being used as wave breakers, absorbing the effects of erosion from the water so that the shoreline itself remains intact. As such, these broken walls are gradually smoothed down over time. I wonder if at some point that wall will be smoothed all the way down to one single brick. I guess only time will tell. Now, you guys know I work hard to bring you as many videos as possible, but I recently took a
I
very
do.
short vacation to
I
Turkey
do,
for
okay?
some
My first
well-earned
react
R&R.
video.
And while I was there, I visited Cappadocia. And though I was meant to be relaxing, I found something that I just had to share with you. These are known as the fairy chimneys. They're geological phenomena that are the result of volcanic eruptions where thick ash blanketed the region millions of years ago, creating a soft rock called tuff. Over the course of millions of years, erosion has worn away the tuff and the different layers of rock beneath. Rocks like basalt, another volcanic and darker rock, is more resilient than tuff, leading to the formation of the large roof-like structures atop the chimney pillars. With cave-like structures worn into the sides of the chimneys, people began using them as natural houses. And since then, tourists have also visited the site, with their countless feet wearing small, natural stairs into the soft rock. It's amazing to see such a powerful example of time's effects with your own eyes. Although I realize that technically this meant I was working while on vacation. Worth it. San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge is an incredible landmark that's stood the test of time since it was completed in 1937. However, it's not the bridge itself, but an area called Fort Point close to the bridge that's truly amazing. Here, huge iron chains have marked the edge of bayside pathways for years, but at certain points, the links all look like wood. They're brown, flaking, and appear to have bark. How is that possible? Well, these huge chains are made of wrought iron, which is an iron that's been heated and worked with tools rather than melted and poured into a mold like cast iron. Because of the way it's rolled and worked, wrought iron is particularly grainy, like wood. And so, in highly corrosive areas like saltwater bays, rusting wrought iron reveals these grainy layers, giving it a wood-like texture.
Cancel Costya. Delivery won't. Walmart Plus.
Makes you wonder if it's still as strong as iron, or if all that erosion has made it weak as wood. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Now, I don't know about you, but nothing annoys me more than a drippy tap. It's not just the noise, it's the fear that the constant dripping will wear part of the sink away. Oh, you think I'm being irrational, do you? Well, feast your eyes on this. This image from Reddit user Centro99 was taken in a public bathroom. Okay, admittedly, this wasn't caused by a dripping tap, but by a dripping soap dispenser. The constant stream of weak alkaline substance has worn a specific part of the drain rim down, revealing the different parts of metals making up the hole. Now, I'm no plumber, but I think those orange and yellow parts might be copper and brass. If there are any avid plumbers watching, please let me know what they really are down in the comments below. Now it's time to get
Sorry
to my
about that,
favorite
guys.
part of this series, submissions from you guys. You've been keeping an eye out for examples showcasing the power of time, and some of them are so good I just have to talk about them. Like this one from Davidston Bach, who took a picture of this pool table in the chicken box
sorry
in
about that.
Nantucket Island. Years of patrons shuffling around the table has worn the floor thin just around the edge, making it look like the table's been framed. Nice one, Davidson. Another avid viewer, Leo from Finland, submitted this incredible comparison of his old and his new bike lock. The beige boy on the left is some 5 years old, which has faded from its bright orange former glory. In that time, there's also been a few design changes. That key's a new shape and the lock's in a different place. Still, that's, what doesn't the kids say? Sick fade. And finally, this fantastic side-by-side comparison from Omer Inbar of a wooden spoon his dad bought some 20 years ago that his family uses to cook with almost every day. While I doubt this is the exact same type of spoon on both the left and the right, The well-worn right one has been used so much the dip at the end is barely more than a paddle. Clearly, this family really loves cooking. Thanks, guys. Love your examples. And if you want to submit your own examples of the power of time, send them over to stories@beamazed.com. And who knows, maybe I'll shout you out in the next part of this series. Which was your favorite example of the power of time? Let me know.
Alright guys, thank you for watching my Reacts channel. Just don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and that bell down below. Thank you for watching. And have a great day or night. And I'm probably gonna do a video next on everything about Gus. If you watched my first video on the channel, Gus was my pug, and I mentioned him that he will be in a video. So yeah, so I'll probably be shooting that video soon.